You guys make modular chiller plants. There's an amazing one standing behind us. Why don't we do a quick video for those who don't know what is a modular chiller plant? We'll just walk through and take this where it goes.
All right, Tony. Yeah, this is a modular chiller plant. We're pretty much, brand agnostic here at Envirosep, but we do utilize a lot of our core partners, and we had a lot of product that's in this plant where it has complete chill water system, complete cooling tower water system, condenser water, chillers. We do all the electrical wiring, pretty much point to point.
Amazing.
Pick it up, build it here, offsite construction, and then deploy it to the field.
So this is a chiller plant. It happens to be built in modules that you can ship out in sections. Like this was probably, I'm going to guess 8 or 9, 10 sections maybe?
Yeah, this is actually phase 3
Wow.
that we're doing. So we actually deployed phase 1 and 2. This is going to a UV battery plant up in the Midwest.
Right.
And so the client came to Envirosep, a repeat client, which is really important. We like to keep our clients there, have them come back to us. And every time we deploy a plant out there, we're always trying to perfect it. It's very hard to make perfection here, but we try and every job is getting better and better as a company. But to ship down the road, you pretty much have to keep it under 15 foot wide, 14 foot tall, so that it can fit on a trailer. And it can go up to about 48 feet long.
So you build it here in modules, you put it all together. Yes?
Yeah, we build it monolithic, so everything is all pre-piped, factory tested. We'll actually, whether the client, if he allows us, we'll actually put a hydrostatic test on it.
Okay.
We'll fill it up completely with water. We'll run the pumps 100%. We have the capacity here to run up to 1,000 horsepower.
Wow.
So we can run all the pumps here. Typically, these style plants are done in sections to where they're actually in lineups. That's what we refer to as 1,500 ton lineups. Almost the max size you can put in a chiller plant for a medium pressure centrifugal chiller.
Right.
So we have done plants up to about 3,000 tons in a single module.
Wow. In a single module?
In a single module, yeah.
And are the cooling towers, so just so people know that are watching, like when we say a chiller plant, we're talking about the chiller, the pumps, tanks if needed, the piping, the controls, the valves, and the cooling tower?
It's
a complete chiller plant.
Complete system. Just as if somebody built it on the site, we just build it here in a UL factory where we have the opportunity to have, our guys, they show up here every day. They don't have to bring their tools in from a remote location. Logistic times are a lot less when you buy off-site construction.
Right.
So our guys show up here every day. They know what to do. We have these large 40-ton cranes up here that just pick up. So if we finish a project here, we can pick it up, fly it by. We can build up to 4 stories tall. It's pretty much endless what we can build here in a modular setting.
It's incredible. And we're going to talk about this a little more in detail, I think, in another video. But like one of the aspects I love about modular chiller plants is you can build them alongside of the building construction. Like the building could be going up while you're building this here, and you're not having to wait on the building to come up.
Yep.
Am I saying that right?
It should accelerate the whole entire build time. And that's why a lot of the general contractors are working with companies like Envirosep to actually, speed up their projects, because the faster that we can get the sites there or our systems there, the faster they can start energizing, hooking up to their complete system, and the end user hopefully starting to make some money.
Right.
One of the key things with modular too is, we can just build out a few modules. We can build 3 or 4 modules, deploy them to the site. We can do all the startup and everything in different time frames, so that when an owner has a startup load where he only has a few hundred tons, we can go ahead and deploy a few chillers out there, just get them started up. And as they ramp up, like a data center, they just buy more modules, or we just deploy more modules out to the system.
That's one of the features of the modular design that allows them to do that, right?
Yes.
They can build in the extra capacity in terms of the site infrastructure, but not have to buy the modules until they need it.
One of the limiting factors is really just the size of the headers. So the actual flow of the system, we can only pump so much water through a 12-inch header. This system right here actually has a 36-inch header.
Okay.
So
where are we seeing that?
This will actually go on top of our unit. This customer elected to have a little bit more headroom in the system. So we're taking the chilled water supply and return lines, and they're actually going to go above it. So we'll have penetrations that go up through the roof, and the contractor will just go in, he'll drop in that 40-foot length supply and return headers, bolt it together, and if we're going in different sections where we're going to deploy 5,000 tons out, and then we'll put an isolation valve there. And so when it comes time to add more chillers, they'll simply fill up the new system, bleed in there, and chillers will start working.
Incredible. So I'm dying to get in here. Can we get in there and walk around a little bit?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's check it out. My son Nate's working the camera. You're doing a great job. Just watch your step.
Yep.
We don't want anybody getting hurt filming modular chiller plants, right?
And Tony, this is an active construction site.
Yeah.
So everything you're going to see here today is not a finished product.
Right.
We're actually working. We got the guys on break right now, so hopefully it's a little quieter to
Perfect
pump
timing.
through this right now.
Perfect timing.
But we have
the biggest thing right now, centrifugal chillers, right?
Yep.
The heart of the big chill water plants. These are York chillers. Do we know what tonnages these are?
Yeah, these are YK 1500 ton chillers.
All right, let's walk over here.
Yep.
See, Nate, you can try and follow us here.
And these chillers, knowing this client and the startup of it, each one of these chillers has hot gas bypass on it.
Really?
So that we can run these chillers, that even though they're 1,500 tons, we can run these down to about 10% of the load.
Right.
So if they have a startup load that's only 150 tons, we can actually just start running one chiller in there, just get, maybe it's for humidification or dew point for an air handler or something.
Are they
like
VFD chillers?
These are variables. These are actually constant speed chillers, these ones.
Gotcha.
These are
hence
41
the need for hot gas bypass. And you don't want, if you got 10 chillers, you don't need them all to be VFD chillers, right?
Exactly, yeah. So on the first phase of this, we actually deployed out a York YMC squared chiller, which is a magnetic bearing chiller.
Got it.
And that's going to handle the swing loads.
The
and so it's going to be a trim chiller. So it's going to actually go operate up and down based on the need to switch over to the larger chillers.
Right. So for those who don't know, we do this with digital compressors too. Like if you've got 5 chillers and 4 constant volume, you might bring one up to 800.
Exactly.
And then before you bring on the other one, you use the variable one to go in between those two.
Exactly.
Am I explaining that right?
100%, yep. And then also with the York chillers, though, they love cold condenser water. So even though it's a constant speed chiller, you can still vary the flow through it.
Right.
So that's why we have VFDs on the Armstrong pumps that are right here. So we can actually pump as much cold water on the condenser water side through to lower the overall amperage on the machine to make it run more efficient.
Excellent.
And on this particular job, this is actually what we call as lineups. So each one of the pumps is dedicated to each chiller. So in this scenario, the total build out, I believe, is 27 or 22 chillers.
Wow.
And each one of them has its own VFD, own pumps, condenser water side, and chilled water side.
I love it. So let's talk about, maybe Nate, you can back up a little bit over that way and get us around this vertical inline pump. Watch your step. You're doing a great job. You need to get a raise. I need to give him a raise. So vertical inline pumps, my favorite types of pumps. They save a lot of space, easy to, change out when you need to change the motor out.
I've been with Envirosep for 20 years, and this is the #1 pump that we like to utilize.
Right.
Really the style of pump, brand agnostic kind of. We have certain clients that want different manufacturers out there. But in a previous life, when I was a rep, I did sell Armstrong pumps, and they are phenomenal pumps too. I mean, vertical inline, there's change the seal kit. You can change the seal kit, which has a 150 horsepower motor on it. Change the seal kit in about 45 minutes. Pull off the coupler guard here. It has a couple machine fittings in there. Drop it in there, and there's no need for alignment on these pumps.
Right,
so they're self-alignment.
Right.
Line for life is what you can sell it as.
Right.
But they're very durable, robust pumps.
There seems to be a misconception that vertical inline pumps inherently have vibration issues. I believe that stems from eons ago when they first came out with them. They may have had that, but I've seen plenty of videos, and I'm just saying this in case someone's watching and hears that. That's not true. Like they don't have vibration issues. I've seen plenty of videos with a nickel sitting here and this thing running. How many horsepower is this?
I believe this is a 150 horsepower.
150 horsepower, and it's just humming along. So
and I, in the former life, like I said, when I sold Armstrong pumps as a rep, I actually sold some 12 by 12 by 17s with 250 horsepower motors on it across the line, no VFDs on it. And you could put a nickel up on the top of it and have zero vibration to that.
Right, so that's a big myth.
Exactly. When it started up and the check valve slammed open, it kind of scared you a little bit out of it. But other than that, it was great operation.
So this has turned into a Mythbusters episode too, so I love it. So we've got chill water pump, condenser water pump. Now, chiller, pumps, cooling tower. Are they typically on top of the module, or are they all different?
We do it any way the client wants it. So if they have enough space on site, we can put it off to the side. One thing that allows you to do is it allows you to actually, we can build the cooling tower. We can get all that stuff a lot faster, that we can build the whole entire mechanical assembly for a chiller plant. So we can have that where it's deployed off to the side. We can manufacture here. It can go out to the field and actually get installed if it's off to the side. Now, I would say probably 75% of our plants are just on top of our roof.
Nice. Saves a lot of space.
It saves a ton of space.
And you're building it with the structural steel. It shouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah, that's one thing. And you'll notice here that the span, I mean, this is 44 feet wide or 44 feet long. We have one column here. What's really important is actually we engineer our bases. So if we went to our structural shop, you can see some bases upside down where you don't see a full penetrated weld through the whole entire I-beam structure there. Yeah. That's because we actually we engineer our bases. So you don't need to do all that welding if you don't have to. One, it's a manning saving. It provides a little bit more rigidity, but you really don't need it for a base. So you're trying to attenuate sound, attenuate any vibration you have out, and have it to where it's structurally sound. So this right here is, in some of our competitors, they'll do maybe box steel, 8-inch box steel too. So they may have a little bit more structural members going up to hold up their roof. So if you notice here too, we have I believe that's an 18-inch I-beam there too. And then we'll actually lay in the roof panels above, and the cooling towers will go up on top of that.
Nice. You mind if we walk down?
Sure.
This way, give everybody just a sense of the scale of this thing.
Yeah, Tony, I'll point out a few things too as we go along.
Yeah.
Well, we got solid separators here too, and VFD drives, power panels. One of the things that we do here is we actually have I/O panels. So that when each module goes there, we just wire up to that panel right there, and then it's just daisy chain along, or however it puts into it.
And all that's pre-engineered here, so when you get out there, you know exactly where everything goes.
Exactly. Whether it's a JCI Medisys system or an Allen Bradley or something.
I hate to use the word plug and play, but this is about as close as you can get in reality to plug and play, right?
We always joke around, you just flip the switch when it gets on site.
Whenever I hear a presentation, they say it's plug and play, it needs no maintenance. I'm like, I'm out of here. I get it. So Lakos
solid separator. Yeah, this will be piped in.
And again, Brad, whatever the owner wants, you make your recommendations. You can provide them with whatever they want. Exactly, I saw Thompson strainer on another machine over there. I've seen, we're brand agnostic. It's really what's the right product for the job. Right. And for that client, we have a lot of clients that say, hey, you have to have this manufacturer in our plant. It's the one we like. We're used to it. We know it.
As long as it's a good product and it has a life to it, we'll put one.
And you're familiar with it, right?
We're familiar with it.
They're not going to say, go buy this from China. We never used it before, but give it a try.
Yeah, some of the newer stuff on the marketplace, we're a little bit more hesitant to use just because there's not a robust following behind it where it has a lot of track record.
And you're looking out for your client.
100%.
You know what works. You know the stuff that works.
At the end of the day, it's the client. He's paying the bills. So I have to listen to him. We can advise him as much as we can. We can tell him, hey, I only want this chiller by. And we say, well, you know what? You can pick up 10% more efficiency by utilizing X. And we try and educate them through the process. Sometimes they're just stuck on it, and that's fine. We did our due diligence. We're trying to engineer the system to where it's the most efficient that's possible for their application.
Yeah. Let's talk about engineering while we walk down here a little bit. How does this start? I know it starts on, well, I was going to say paper, but maybe on a computer, right? To get from there to a job site, I mean.
I like to say it starts on a whiteboard. I work remotely in Arizona out of my house. So I have a whiteboard there, and it's constantly changing. It may have my daughter's notes for studying the night before, and then I erase it in the morning. But then I just,
and then it's a 10,000-ton chiller plant.
Exactly. Like that, we just build Lego systems, essentially. We get cut sheets from vendors. We lay it out on a whiteboard. We utilize a lot of historical data. So a lot of, whether it's going to be a totally headered system, we built plants that are 30,000 tons, headered systems or direct lineups.
For someone who's watching, the header system means it all comes into one common pipe?
One common pipe. All the pumps are headered together so that if you lost one of the pumps, you can still pump to chiller 3, 4, 5, or 6. It's not dedicated.
As opposed to these are dedicated. Correct. Which suits this application just fine.
Yeah, this is kind of more like what the data center has kind of really brought back to life from an old scrapbook of how we used to do things. It used to be pump, chiller, out the door.
Love it.
And with the redundancy that they're building into these plants now, they're going to have a spare chiller on hand. So we put in here, redundant spare section, redundant spare everything. so that if something happens,
That's
you
right.
start up another one, you fix your issue, and then you put it back up online.
In the data center spend, having an extra chiller and a pump is not that big of it. It's like a very small thing in the
From
data
what
center,
I hear, data centers make some money. Yes, and which is a good thing because they
spend some money too, right?
And spend some money too. That's what keeps the lights on here at Envirosep.
For sure. Okay. What else can we point out here? Shipping splits. How does this get? So wait, let's go back to the engineering. So you whiteboard it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a consultant involved typically, or do you have PEs on staff, or how does this engineering wise come to fruition?
It usually starts with someone like myself, a sales professional, has 20 years experience or around there, and we just kind of know from previous systems. We pick them up there. We kind of mimic a lot of different applications that we've sold in the past. So we'll take it, we'll whiteboard it, and whiteboarding is really just to get our dimensions. So if they say, hey, we want a 6,000 ton plant, and I say, okay, well, what size chillers do you want to utilize? We want to do 1,500 ton, 1,000 ton. So I'll get the cut sheets and I'll just draw them on there and say, okay, I can fit a 1,000 ton chiller in a 12-foot wide box.
You've done so many. You have that experience.
So,
you're just like, okay, this is what our options
are. And you know your clearances. You have to have NEC clearances on there. These chillers are actually 4160 volt machines.
Gotcha.
So you have to have 60 inches to a combustible material.
Right. And you're working with the manufacturers, to get the compressor off, you got to have this here and this there.
Exactly.
And, everything's,
And one thing you don't see in these phases just yet, though, but above all the pumps, really motors that are above 15 horsepower, we'll either put a cherry picker in there or we'll put an I-beam. So the client can just take it off, remove it quickly.
Right.
This client actually, we do something unique for this client where we actually mount a removable davit arm, and it can actually bolt. The bolts aren't even, you can see them right here, up there where it's holding the plants together. Yeah. But we'll tap in some new holes there, and we'll be able to swing over and lift these pumps up, the motors, and to repair them.
Nice.
Yep. And then so for the chillers, you just don't pull the compressor off in one bolt.
Right.
So you're usually taking that off in sections.
Right.
So we'll either have overhead technology up there to raise it up, pull it out. We position these towards the rear end where we have complete roll-up doors. So you can easily access the chillers. I think we'll go down a little further, and some of the plants that are a little more defined. You can see some of the roll-up doors that are.
Oh, good. We can look at maybe the chiller motor and talk a little bit about that too. Different types of motor technologies and that kind of thing. So amazing. So it gets engineered. You work with your vendors. You order the components.
Yeah.
You build it here. So you test it. Then you got it in these modules that go out.
One of the selling features really to an owner, to a general contractor, a mechanical contractor, electrical, is we're handling all these logistics for them here. We're ordering everything. We're tracking everything. We're keeping them updated with a live, weekly or monthly, however the client's set up for project management meetings. Right. So we're managing all this process here to make sure that it all goes together. And when they get to the site, we just want a concrete pad. Or concrete footers. You don't have to have a complete pad. If you're looking to save a little money, you can put some crushed granite down there and just have the footers be there for mounting.
Right, because you got it built on the structural steel.
Exactly, yeah. So, but it's really taken off. Like I said, I've been here for 20 years, and it's amazing. Every year it just gets bigger and bigger, and the chillers get better and better too for efficiency.
Incredible. So who puts it together? You guys aren't going to the site, putting it together. Are you supervising it with the contractor locally?
Over the last few years, we started doing the install side.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we don't do the install ourselves. We actually hire a mechanical contractor, a rigger, to come in there and actually do it on site. So if it's a union site, we'll go out there and hire a union contractor. They'll come in there, they'll drop it on site. We'll provide our supervision. So we'll have a guy there on site or a gal, and she'll just sit there from the time it arrives to the time they flip the switch and start doing the startup.
Nice.
And then we'll bring our technicians in to do, finalize the point-to-point testing, verify that it was done here in the factory, and then go in the field and start implementing it. Because once it gets to a load, everything changes in the field.
And are the local York guys coming out and starting these up? Are you starting them up, or how does that work?
As far as the chillers themselves, we're utilizing the JCI agents that are out in the field, or whichever manufacturer. We're utilizing their technicians to do that. We start up our own pumps, drives, we do all that. We handle all the controls, or, if it is like a JCI platform, they'll come in there and they'll bring their own local technicians. We'll have the group out of Charleston come here and do factory tests.
Nice.
They'll implement all the programming, They'll do the point-to-point testing here, and then when it gets in the field, hopefully it's just a few little slight changes and it's up and running.
Got it. You want to walk down here some more and
Sure,
see if we
let's go.
find anything else? Nate, you doing okay?
Yep. Again, this is phase 3 of, and I think there's 10 chillers in here. So
this is the third 10 chiller.
Yeah, this is the last of the deployment for this client's second site that we're at the opportunity
That's
to work
incredible. Data centers.
This is actually an EV plant for.
Oh, that's right. You told me that. Yeah.
We have another data center down here too that has pretty much the same technology that we have here with the York chillers, although it's a YMC squared chiller.
Yeah.
So we can go see that afterwards if you want to. But
Great.
this is pretty much identical. Everyone should be formatted the same so that when it arrives in the field, all the measurements should be identical on takeoffs. The same pumps, same flex connectors, everything. So it's just rinse and repeat.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you. Why don't we walk over there? We'll kill the
Sounds
camera,
good.
walk over there and look at some more stuff.
Awesome.
So.